Hi guys. All right, we are continuing our reading adventure on The Barren Grounds by David A. Robertson. We are on chapter 4 already. And if you're on chapter 4, that means we are back to just doing a basic, upside down, I don't know. Summary, beginning, middle, and end. Oh boy, this is just ridiculous. Yeah, so just do your beginning, middle, and end, 4 sentences for each section describing what's going on. Remember, strong sentence starters, okay? No ands, no thens. Well, you can use those, but only once each, okay? Try to think of some other sentence starters to start your sentences off with. However, but, then, next, finally, after that, things like that, okay? All right. Chapter 4, okay? So Morgan has been tasked by her teacher to rewrite her poem, but using her heart in her writing, not just her head, not just putting words down on a page and trying to make those words make sense and trying to make a message come through. Use your heart to guide your writing so that your voice is on the page and your voice is heard when people read your writing. Something you should all take to heart. Write with your heart. Okay? Chapter 4. Lunch was Morgan's least favorite time of the day. Okay. In my decades worth of time as an educator, lunch is usually a student's favorite time of the day. They love lunch because you can eat, you can socialize, you don't have to do a lot of work, you can just relax, chill out for a bit. But somebody like Morgan, who struggles to find her spot, to feel like she fits in, to make friends, lunch is terrible. Lunch hour, having to go and sit there with large groups, large numbers of students, people that you don't know, you don't have any connection with. It's a terrible, terrible endeavor for anybody in that situation. And so here's poor Morgan every day having to hate lunch hour. Lunch was Morgan's least favorite time of the day. Surrounded by the entire student body, she felt most isolated. Kids sat in the same place every noon hour in easily definable groups. Jocks, who divided into subgroups depending on their respective sport: basketball, hockey, volleyball, soccer. Kids who were destined to take advanced classes in high school. Skaters, who performed impossible tricks off the steps of the school until they shooed away by whichever teacher caught them. There was a long list of cliques. Some kids crossed over. Some kids did not. But everybody seemed to have somebody. Morgan sat in the same place each day, just like everybody else, but she sat alone. She bought fries today and was stabbing at them while watching Eli, the only other kid who was alone. He was wearing a Radiohead t-shirt and army green cargo pants with his hair in a tight braid. His shoulders were slumped. His head was slumped. His entire body was slumped, sitting on the floor. A plate of food he bought from the cafeteria was resting by his feet, untouched. She might have continued torturing her poor food, but just then, a cool hand touched her own. Morgan looked up to see Emily standing by her. It was the first time Emily had approached Morgan away from their lockers. "Hey," Emily said. "Hey," Morgan said uncertainly. "Can I sit with you?" Emily asked. Morgan looked around at the tables as though she had to make space for Emily. She didn't. "Sure." Emily sat across from Morgan, placed her lunch bag on the table, and zipped it open. She pulled out a plastic container and opened it to reveal little containers of Caesar salad with chicken strips, mandarin orange, and trail mix with sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and raisins. Morgan shoved a forkful of fries into her mouth. "What did those fries ever do to you?" Emily asked. Morgan swallowed. "Huh? You're annihilating those fries." Emily reached over and picked up Morgan's plate for a moment to show her the state of her food. It wasn't pretty. "Collateral damage," Morgan said. Emily had been chewing a slice of orange and almost choked on it. She patted at her chest while staring at Morgan confusedly, her face turning red. "You okay?" Morgan asked. "Yeah," she caught her breath. "I just didn't know you were funny." "It wasn't that funny," Morgan said, looking down at her plate of mashed fries. "Seriously, Ghost," Emily poked Morgan's hand with her index finger to make Morgan look at her. "What's going on with you?" "Well, why do you even want to sit here?" Morgan asked. Earlier in the year, another kid, one of the skaters, had sat with her, acting all suspicious. He was talking to her, but glancing away like every second. Morgan noticed a table full of his buddies snickering, watching them. He'd been put up to it by them. She guessed there was something funny about sitting with the new native kid. "I float," Emily said. "I'm a floater." It was true. She was. She was one of the kids who could sit with several different cliques effortlessly. "I saw you sitting here looking kind of upset, kind of mad, cereal murdering your fries, and thought, hey, this seems like a good idea. I guess I'm a risk taker." "I'm not going to stab you with my plastic fork. Don't worry," Morgan said. "See, you are funny," Emily said. Morgan smiled, but when she caught herself smiling, she stopped, like it was a dirty secret she didn't want out. "So," Emily said, "what are you mad about? What's up?" "It's about the poetry assignment," Morgan said. "Mrs. Edwards didn't give me a mark because I can do better, according to her. I have to redo it by tomorrow." "Well, at least you didn't fail, right?" Emily said. "That doesn't sound like a defense for French fry homicide. Just write a better poem?" "She said I have no heart, pretty much," Morgan said, and I wanted to, scream at her. Tell her that poetry book is lame or something like that. "But you didn't, right?" Emily asked. "No, but..." Morgan stabbed another fry. "I always have this hot feeling in my chest, and you know when you've done something wrong and you feel so bad about what you did that you can't even say sorry about it?" "Okay, I'm confused," Emily said. You didn't, right?" "It wouldn't have been the first time I blew it up at somebody today," Morgan said, "if I had." "So you shouted at somebody, wanted to shout at somebody else, and now you're beating yourself up about it?" "I think I need to reset the karmic balance of my life somehow." Her eyes rested on Eli again. In her mind, she flipped through all the pictures he'd drawn. He must have made some of them right where he was now. And while Eli had said that she always looked angry at school, he always looked content while drawing. Like her books, his art was an escape. Without it, no doubt, he had to think about being away from home, being in this strange school, being in a strange house with an angry, jerk-faced girl. Emily poked Morgan. Hey, I'm still here, you know. We've got art next period, right? Morgan asked. Yeah, why? Because it's about time I did something nice today. Okay, that'll be the end of part 1 for chapter 4. So here we see Emily and Morgan continuing to develop their friendship or companionship. We also see that Morgan is doing some self-reflecting on her choices and her behaviors. And she said, you know, I shouted today, and she did. She got angry at her foster parents. She almost lost her temper on her teacher, Mrs. Edwards. And so now she's like, I need to do better. I need to try better, and I'm going to do good. So I'm going to do something nice today. And I'm inferring it might be something to do with Eli, because they're going to art class, and we know that Eli really likes art. And she did say that when he's drawing, he always looked content, always happy, always at peace and calm. So his art is his way to escape and not think about being far from home. So let's see what Morgan decides to do. Okay, join me for part 2 of chapter 4 next video. Bye guys.